Let me ask you something straight from the heart. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to magnetize wealth while others chase it their entire lives and never quite catch it? It's not luck. It's not just strategy. It's not even just hard work. It starts with how they think, and it takes off with how they speak. The wealthiest people in the world don't wait for opportunities. They create them. And that creation doesn't begin in a bank account. It begins in the brain. It begins with the words they say to themselves when no one is watching. Wealthy people don't just hustle. They rewire their identity through thought and language. They speak with clarity, power, and purpose. They think in terms of possibility, abundance, and inevitability. If you want to change your finances, change your patterns. If you want to change your patterns, change your language. Because the truth is this: you don't attract wealth by wishing for it. You attract it by becoming the person who already owns it in their mind and voice. Every single breakthrough in wealth, every leap from average to extraordinary begins in one place: your inner world. It's not the market, it's not the economy, and it's definitely not luck. It's what you say to yourself every single day that sets the tone for your results. The wealthy understand that before they ever earned a dollar, they had to program their internal language to serve them, not sabotage them. They trained their minds like a warrior trains their body. They didn't wake up hoping the day would go well. They woke up commanding it. Because here's the truth: your inner voice is either building your future or breaking it apart. There is no neutral. There is no standing still. Every single thought you allow, every word you speak internally, is either wiring you for success or silently dragging you back into the identity that keeps you stuck. Most people talk to themselves in a way they wouldn't dare talk to anyone else. They say things like, "I'll never figure this out. I'm just not wired for business. This is too much for me." And they expect to rise while repeating the language of defeat. It doesn't work like that. The wealthy are relentless about catching that voice the moment it veers off course, because they know that voice is the script, and the script becomes the movie. If you want a different ending, you better rewrite the story you're telling yourself. That starts with being aware. Start listening to what you say about yourself when no one is watching. That voice is directing your destiny. Think about it. Have you ever tried to do something extraordinary while doubting yourself the entire way? It feels like pushing a car uphill with the brakes on. That's what happens when your internal language doesn't support your goals. It's not enough to set big goals on paper. It's not enough to want it. Wanting it is wishful thinking. You have to speak to yourself like the person who already owns it. You have to think like someone who is already at the top of the mountain, not someone hoping to find a shortcut. Wealthy people don't ask, "Can I do this?" They ask, "How will I get this done?" They shift the question, they shift the tone, they shift the identity. This is where everything begins to change, because your thoughts become your beliefs shape your emotions drive your behavior, and your behavior creates your results. Most people try to change their behavior without changing the root, without changing the internal language. That's like trying to fix the leaves on a tree while ignoring the rotten roots. You want different fruit? You need different roots. You want different income? You need different language. You need a different belief system growing underneath your actions. The wealthy don't wait to feel confident. They speak confidence into themselves until it becomes who they are. They use powerful language, identity-focused affirmations and visualizations that rewire their nervous system to expect success. They say things like, "I create value everywhere I go. I solve problems worth millions. I am relentless, resourceful, and ready." They aren't lying to themselves. They're conditioning themselves. Big difference. Most people never reprogram their inner voice. They let old voices from childhood, old failures, and old fear run the show. They live in a mental echo chamber of the past. And guess what? That past voice is broke. That past voice is tired. That past voice can't lead you to wealth. It was never built to. So it has to go. If you don't intentionally install a new voice, you'll be stuck replaying the old one. And here's the key. You don't need permission to do this. You don't need someone to approve your new inner voice. You just need to decide that from this day forward, you will speak to yourself like someone who deserves wealth, like someone who expects results, like someone who refuses to entertain anything less than excellence. It's not about faking it. It's about training it. Training your mind to focus on possibility instead of problems. Training your mouth to speak in outcomes instead of obstacles. Training your thoughts to find solutions rather than shrink in fear. That's the difference. The wealthy have just practiced this longer. They've repeated the powerful internal dialogue thousands of times until it became their default setting. Until their first response to a challenge is, let's go, not why me. If you're serious about wealth, the first investment you make isn't in stocks, real estate, or business. It's in the language you use internally. That is your most valuable asset. That is the foundation everything else is built on. Because your bank account will never consistently exceed the strength of your inner voice. Your income rises or falls to the level of your internal expectations. And your expectations are shaped by your daily dialogue. So ask yourself, what have you been telling yourself lately? Does it sound like a leader or a loser? Does it sound like a creator or a complainer? Because you can't speak like a victim and win like a warrior. It doesn't work that way. If you want to live rich, you have to think rich, speak rich, and become rich in your internal world before it ever shows up in the external one. You are the voice. You are the script writer. You are the one behind the curtain. So start directing a different scene. Start feeding yourself new language. Language is not just a tool for communication, it's the mechanism for creation. The wealthiest people on this planet have mastered one simple, powerful truth. The words you speak are the seeds of your reality. Every sentence you speak, whether out loud or in your mind, is a command to your brain, your body, and your future. And if you speak in limitations, you live in limitations. But if you speak in outcomes, in vision, in certainty, you start to bend the world in your favor. That's not magic. That's alignment. That's the science of language creating your belief, your actions, and ultimately your results. When you listen closely to how wealthy individuals speak, how they talk about challenges, money, opportunity, you'll hear something very different from the average person. They don't complain about the economy. They don't focus on how hard it is. They don't repeat the tired old phrases like, I can't afford that, or money doesn't grow on trees. No. They say things like, what's the opportunity here? How do I scale this? What needs to happen next? Their language is future focused. It's solution based. It's empowering. Because they know that every time they speak, they're either reinforcing a limitation or constructing a breakthrough. Words are patterns. They're programs. They shape the filters your brain uses to interpret the world. If you constantly say things like, I'm always broke, money slips through my fingers, or I'm just not good at business, your brain doesn't argue with you. It accepts the command and starts filtering your decisions, your focus, and your emotions to match that belief. It becomes your reality, not because it was true, but because you said it often enough to make it feel true. This is how powerful language is. It's not passive, it's directive. It leads your life before your decisions even start. Think about it. Why do some people keep repeating the same financial patterns year after year, even after reading books, going to seminars, trying new strategies? Because they never change their language. You can't rewire your results if your words are still aligned with the old identity. The wealthy reprogram their language until it reflects the person they're becoming, not the person they used to be. They speak like someone who owns the outcome, not someone who's chasing it. You have to understand, words don't just describe your situation, they prescribe it. They define what your nervous system prepares for. If you say, I'm overwhelmed, your body responds with stress. Your breathing changes, your focus narrows, you shrink your capacity. But if you say, I've got this, even in the face of chaos, your posture shifts, your energy rises, and your brain begins seeking solutions. That's how fast your language affects your physiology and psychology. It's instant. And if that's true, why not use that power intentionally? Wealthy people don't just speak positively, they speak precisely, they speak strategically. They use language to direct their thoughts toward productivity, abundance, and forward momentum. They've eliminated casual negativity. You won't catch them saying, this always happens to me, or I never catch a break. That kind of language disqualifies them from the identity of someone who wins. So they speak in ways that reinforce the belief that they are in control, even when they're not sure what the next move is. Because they understand this law, you speak the future into existence before it ever arrives. You have to begin using this same standard. Stop giving your words away carelessly. Stop using language that contradicts your goals. If you want to build wealth, you need to start speaking like someone who builds wealth. Not someone who waits for it, not someone who doubts it. Your language must align with your vision. Every time you say something, ask yourself, does this statement serve the future I want? If the answer is no, then it has no place in your vocabulary, because you're not speaking just for the sake of expression anymore. You're speaking with purpose, with intention, with alignment. Start declaring what's possible. Not just what's real right now. Start speaking your future as if it's already yours. Say, I am learning to multiply money. Say, I attract powerful connections. Say, I create massive value wherever I go. At first, your brain might resist it. It might say that's not true. That's okay. You're not trying to reflect your current state. You're conditioning your mind to rise into your next one. You're reprogramming your belief system through repetition, through emotion, and through congruent action. This isn't wishful thinking. This is strategy. This is mental conditioning. The same way athletes train their bodies through repetition, you train your wealth mindset through the repetition of powerful language. And the results don't come because you said magic words. They come because your language shifted, your thoughts shifted your focus changed your behavior, and your behavior produced a different outcome. That's the chain reaction. And it all starts with the words. So look at your daily language like it's your greatest asset. Audit it. Upgrade it. Make it impossible to speak like someone who's stuck. Replace every disempowering phrase with one that creates momentum. Speak with clarity, conviction, and boldness. Because your words are not cheap. They're commands to the future. The question is, what kind of future are you programming? If you want wealth, don't just think differently. Don't just act differently. Speak differently. Speak power into your process. Speak value into your next level, because that's how wealth is built, from the inside out, one powerful word at a time. The wealthy don't think like victims, they think like visionaries. That's the defining line. While most people get stuck replaying problems, setbacks, and fears, the wealthy train their minds to scan for opportunity, for leverage, for forward movement. It's not that they don't experience challenges. Of course they do. They fail, they lose, they make mistakes, but the difference is what they do next. The average person internalizes failure as identity. The wealthy see it as information. They use it, they extract the lesson, and they keep moving. Their minds are trained to find the path forward even when the way is unclear. That mindset doesn't just happen. It's built on purpose over time through the discipline of intentional thinking. When a visionary thinks, they ask questions that pull their brain into higher performance. They don't say, why does this always happen to me? They say, what can I learn here? They don't ask, why is this so hard? They ask, what strength is this building in me? That shift in thinking is everything, because your brain is a search engine. It will find answers to whatever you consistently ask it. Victim thinking pulls up limitations, blame, excuses. Visionary thinking pulls up creativity, strategy, and power. You get what you focus on. The wealthy understand that. They don't focus on the economy, they focus on innovation. They don't dwell on what's missing, they double down on what's possible. They think from a place of ownership, not helplessness. That mindset gives them an unfair advantage, because when other people freeze in fear, the visionary moves. While others doubt, they decide. While others wait, they create. They are solutions driven. They are obsessed with outcomes. They take personal responsibility for everything. Even when something isn't their fault, they take responsibility for their response. That's power. That's leadership. That's how you move from average to exceptional. The wealthy live in this space. They think about who they need to become in order to create the results they want. They don't think if only the world changed, I could succeed. They think if I evolve, the world won't have a choice but to respond. The victim mentality is comfortable. It gives people an excuse to stay small. It's easier to say, that's just the way it is, than to say, I'm the one who's going to change it. But the wealthy don't make decisions based on comfort. They make decisions based on calling. They think with a sense of mission. They see themselves as creators, not consumers. And creators don't wait for the perfect moment. They make the moment perfect by showing up with vision and action. That mental posture, that refusal to collapse under pressure, that is what separates those who build wealth from those who wish for it. You can feel it in how they carry themselves. You can see it in their language, their focus, their urgency. They don't have time for petty drama or victim stories. They are too busy writing a bigger narrative. They think long term. They think in decades, not just in days. When something doesn't work, they don't panic. They pivot. When something hurts, they don't shrink. They use the pain as fuel. Their thinking is wired for transformation. That's not just intelligence. That's mental discipline. If you want to rise, you have to stop thinking about what's not fair, what's hard, what went wrong. You have to train your mind to stay focused on where you're going, not where you've been. Victim thinking ties you to your past. Visionary thinking pulls you toward your future. And it's not about pretending everything's great when it's not. It's about choosing what you magnify. It's about deciding that your attention is too valuable to waste on what you can't control. That's how the wealthy think. They protect their focus like it's gold, because it is. Your focus is the seed of your future. Where it goes, your life grows. The wealthy also think in terms of expansion. They don't see one door closing as a dead end. They see it as redirection. They believe there's always another way, always another angle, always another level. That belief system makes them unstoppable. It's not that they know everything. It's that they believe they can figure it out. That level of certainty in their own resourcefulness is magnetic. People follow it. Opportunities are drawn to it. That's what separates leaders from followers. They trust their ability to adapt, to overcome, to innovate. And that trust comes from thinking like a visionary. So how do you start to develop this kind of thinking? You start by interrupting your current patterns. Every time your mind goes into fear, doubt, or excuse, you stop and ask a better question. You choose to refocus on what you can do, not what you can't. You rehearse outcomes, not problems. You spend time visualizing what you want to create instead of replaying what you're afraid of. You speak about your goals like they are non-negotiable. You refuse to entertain thoughts that don't serve the person you are becoming. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to stay aligned with the vision long enough for your habits to match your ambition. This is what it means to think like the wealthy. It's not just about money. It's about how they approach life. They think like leaders. They think like builders. They think like owners. Every thought, every belief, every focus is tied to where they want to go. They don't let circumstances write their story. They don't let failure define their identity. They don't wait for certainty, they create it. And they do it through intentional thought backed by powerful action. If you want to join them, start thinking like them. Start training your mind to lead, not follow. Because the way you think is the way you live. And the way you live is what creates wealth. The wealthy don't walk into a room with uncertainty dripping from their voice. They speak with conviction. They act with purpose. There is no hesitancy in their tone, no apology in their posture, no confusion in their decisions. That's not arrogance. It's alignment. They've trained themselves to speak with certainty, even when the outcome isn't guaranteed, because they understand that certainty creates momentum. When you speak like you mean it, when you declare your direction without flinching, your brain responds, your body follows, and people around you take notice. That's influence. That's leadership. And the wealthy understand that building wealth isn't just about strategy. It's about energy. It's about the kind of energy that gets created when your words and your actions are in total congruence. They don't use weak language. You won't hear a wealthy person say, "I hope this works," or "maybe I'll try that." That kind of language destroys clarity. It signals doubt not just to yourself, but to the people you're trying to lead, sell to, or build with. Wealthy individuals speak in terms of decisions, not suggestions. They say, "This is what I'm doing." They say, "Let's make it happen." They say, "This is the outcome. Now let's reverse engineer it." That type of language sends a powerful message to their subconscious mind that what they're moving toward isn't optional. It's inevitable. And once that belief takes root, behavior aligns almost automatically. Think about how often people sabotage their own results before they even begin. Not because they don't have the ability, but because they speak like the outcome is still in question. I'll give it a shot. Let's see how it goes. That language gives your brain an exit door. It creates hesitation. And hesitation is the enemy of execution. The wealthy don't give themselves a way out. They speak in a way that forces action. They make declarations, not suggestions, because they know their words are not just information. They are ignition. The moment they say it, they're already moving. This is why the energy behind your words matters just as much as the words themselves. You can't whisper your way to a breakthrough. You can't mumble your way to a million. You have to bring a tone of command to everything you do. Not because you have it all figured out, but because you've decided that you're willing to figure it out no matter what. That energy tells your nervous system to stay locked in. It tells your team to follow you. It tells the universe that you're serious. And that kind of certainty is magnetic. People follow leaders who know where they're going. Even if the road isn't paved yet, they trust the direction. Because confidence is contagious. The wealthy also act with intent. They don't make random moves. They don't wake up and wonder what to do with their day. They don't wait for motivation. They've already decided the mission and their actions are locked onto it. They prioritize, they schedule, they measure, they adjust. Their actions are not driven by emotion, they're driven by decision. That's the difference. Too many people wait to feel ready before they act. The wealthy act first and let the readiness catch up later. They take control of the tempo. They live life on offense. Every move is a calculated step toward a vision they've already declared. Intentional action means they don't waste time. They don't get distracted by every shiny object. They say no to what doesn't align. They cut out noise. They eliminate anything that doesn't serve the out. And they do this not once, but constantly, because they understand that wealth isn't built in a burst. It's built in a rhythm of focused, intentional, consistent movement. And that rhythm begins with clarity in language, clarity in goals, and clarity in execution. If you speak without clarity, you act without power. But when your words are sharp, your steps are strong. This is not something they're born with. It's something they train. Every day they speak the outcome until it becomes normal. They repeat the language of certainty until their brain forgets how to doubt. They review their mission. They affirm their identity. They visualize their success. This isn't wishful thinking. It's preparation. It's conditioning. It's setting the tone before the world can set it for them. And when the world throws resistance, and it always does, they don't crumble. They respond because their words already decided the outcome. Their decisions were made long before the obstacle showed up. If you want to reach that level, you have to make a shift. You have to catch every word that leaks uncertainty. You have to rewire the casual language that keeps you playing small. You have to upgrade the way you speak about your goals, your future, and your capabilities. Start replacing "I'll try" with "I will." Replace "I hope" with "I decide." Speak with the energy of someone who knows the outcome is already theirs. It just hasn't fully materialized yet. Your nervous system will begin to follow that tone. Your habits will align. And before you know it, your world will reflect what your words predicted. Because here's the truth. Nothing moves until you move it. And nothing moves with power until you speak it with power. So stop softening your language. Stop tiptoeing around your goals. Speak like it's yours. Act like it's yours. Show up with intent, not hesitation. Because the wealth you're after is waiting, but only for the version of you that speaks with certainty and moves with purpose. Every time you speak, you're either reinforcing your future or repeating your past. The wealthy understand this truth at a level most people overlook. They know that the most dangerous words are not the ones people say about you, it's the ones you say about yourself. The average person walks around repeating language that keeps them broke, small, and stuck, and they don't even realize it. They say things like, "I'm just not good with money. It's hard to get ahead. People like me don't succeed." And with every phrase, they're writing a script that becomes their life. It doesn't matter how much potential they have. It doesn't matter how many opportunities are around them. If the language in their mind doesn't match the success they want, nothing changes. That's the problem. Most people never challenge their default language. They inherited it. They picked it up from their parents, from society, from past failures. It's a broken vocabulary. built on fear and scarcity. But the wealthy, they are intentional. They audit their language constantly. They eliminate the words that don't serve their goals, and they replace them with statements that reinforce who they are becoming. They don't let disempowering phrases live in their vocabulary, not even as a joke, because they know that repetition creates identity, and identity drives behavior. Words like, I'm terrible at business, or I could never afford that, aren't harmless thoughts. They are statements of identity. And identity is the thermostat of your life. You will always act in alignment with who you believe you are. If your language suggests you're not a leader, not a finisher, not a wealth builder, then your actions will quietly follow that belief. You won't take the risks. You won't make the calls. You won't invest. You'll find ways to sabotage the very things you claim to want because your inner voice already disqualified you. That's why the wealthy are ruthless when it comes to their language. They don't just speak positively. They speak with intention. They speak from their future, not their past. They use words that move them forward, not hold them back. You won't hear a wealthy mind they'll say, I'm figuring it out. You won't hear them say, that's just how things are. They'll say, I'm creating something new. Even in the face of uncertainty, their language leads them to possibility because they know that what you say, your brain believes. And your brain will find a way to make it real. Look around and listen. You'll see people reinforcing the same limits year. They use language to justify staying the same. They say things like, I'm too old for this, or that's just not me, or I've never been good at that. And in doing so, they close the door before they even try to walk through it. The wealthy don't accept those limits. They speak from growth. They say, I'm learning, I'm expanding, I'm stretching into something bigger. That language creates a mental and emotional environment where wealth can grow. There is no room for maybe in the vocabulary of someone committed to rising. There is no space for I'll try when I will creates the kind of certainty that drives real progress. The problem isn't that most people don't want success, it's that they speak like they don't believe they deserve it. Their language is filled with hesitation, self-doubt, and victimhood. And until that changes, nothing else will. If you want to build wealth, you have to upgrade your language before you upgrade your strategy. You have to kill the phrases that keep you in survival mode and replace them with declarations that anchor your future. This means catching yourself when you use soft, passive, or self-sabotaging words. It means refusing to speak defeat over your life even when you're facing obstacles. It means waking up every day and choosing to use words that energize, empower, and elevate your identity. And don't just say it. Say it with emotion. The wealthy understand that words alone don't change you, emotion does. So when they speak their future, they feel it, they create intensity behind it, they repeat it until it becomes a part of them. That's how you rewire your nervous system. That's how you condition a new way of being. You don't just read affirmations like a robot. You speak them like your life depends on it, because it does. You've got to make this a non-negotiable. You've got to treat your language like an elite athlete treats their body. No junk, no waste, just fuel. Every word must serve your mission. Every sentence must build your belief. Because when your language changes, your thoughts change. When your thoughts change, your habits shift. And when your habits shift, your results explode. That's the chain reaction. It always starts with what comes out of your mouth. So start now. Replace I can't with I'm committed. Replace that's not me with I'm becoming that person. Replace it's hard with I love a challenge. Start speaking like the wealthy. Start speaking like a leader. Start speaking like someone who refuses to let the past define the future, because your language is your command center. And if you don't take control of it, it will run your life based on old programming and false limits. But when you do take control, when you strip away the language of limitation and replace it with power, you become unstoppable. You don't just talk about wealth. You become the kind of person who creates it. The wealthy understand something most people ignore. Repetition isn't boring, it's powerful. It's the secret ingredient to rewiring your identity. They know that you don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your patterns. And if those patterns are rooted in old beliefs and random, inconsistent language, your results will always be limited. That's why the wealthy repeat empowering language and future-focused affirmations every single day. They know success isn't something you chase. It's something you become. And becoming requires repetition. You don't build a strong identity in a flash of motivation. You build it brick by brick, word by word, day by day. Every identity starts with language. But that language has to be installed through repetition, or it never becomes a part of who you are. The first time you say, I'm a builder of wealth, it might feel fake. Your mind might resist it. Your circumstances might mock it. But the wealthy don't back down just because the new identity feels unfamiliar. They lean into the repetition until it becomes natural. They keep repeating the new version of themselves until it no longer feels like a stretch, it feels like home. That's how change sticks. You condition it, you rehearse it, you rewire your nervous system by giving it a new set of commands over and over again. Most people get stuck because they only speak power when they feel powerful. They only affirm growth when they feel motivated. They wait to feel inspired before they act like the person they want to become. That's backwards. The wealthy flip the script. They speak it until they feel it. They say it until it becomes their truth. They don't wait to feel ready. They build readiness through repetition. That's the discipline, that's the muscle they've trained. And it's not something they do once in a while. It's a ritual, it's a standard, it's who they are. This is why daily rituals matter. The wealthy design their mornings and evenings with intention. They don't wake up and scroll social media hoping to feel good. They wake up and declare who they are. I am focused. I am a problem solver. I attract opportunities. I multiply value. They don't just say the words, they embody them. They speak with emotion. They visualize the outcome. They connect with the words until their subconscious begins to accept them. Over time, those repeated declarations become the filter through which they see themselves, the world, and their decisions. And once that filter is locked in, everything begins to align. Repetition is how you train your brain to expect success instead of fearing failure. It's how you overwrite old programming that says you're not enough with new software that says you're more than capable. And it's not glamorous, it's not instant, but it works because the mind learns through repetition. Just like a muscle grows through consistent training, your identity grows through consistent declarations. It grows through intentional language spoken over and over until your actions begin to follow. And when your actions follow, your life changes. Most people never repeat anything long enough for it to work. They try a new affirmation for a few days, don't feel different, and quit. They write goals, say them once, and wonder why nothing shifts. But the wealthy, they understand that conditioning takes time. They don't just want motivation, they want transformation. And transformation requires immersion. Immersion in the new identity, immersion in the new vocabulary, immersion in the future they're stepping into. So they surround themselves with the language of success constantly on their phone screens, on their walls, in their journals, in their inner circles. They make the new identity inescapable. It becomes a lifestyle, not a tactic, not a trick, a way of thinking, speaking, and living that reinforces the truth they've chosen to believe. And that's the key. They don't wait for truth to show up. They choose it. They say, this is who I am now. And they back it with repetition until the world starts to reflect it. They understand that identity isn't fixed, it's forged. It's built through choice and reinforced through language. And the more often they repeat that language, the deeper it gets wired into their being. This is why wealth isn't just about skills, it's about state. Your internal state determines how you show up. And your state is shaped by your words. So the wealthy train themselves to speak words that put them into power. They do it first thing in the morning to set the tone. They do it before meetings to lock in focus. They do it when fear creeps in to anchor themselves in certainty. It's not a gimmick, it's a mental conditioning strategy. And it works because it recenters their identity every single time. So if you want to join them, start with your language. Pick a new identity and commit to speaking it every day, even when you don't feel it. even when your reality hasn't caught up yet. Keep saying, I am resourceful, I am disciplined, I am a magnet for wealth, I am building something extraordinary. Say it until your thoughts change. Say it until your energy shifts. Say it until the new version of you becomes stronger than the old one. That's how the wealthy do it. That's how they think. That's how they speak. That's how they become. Because repetition doesn't just create confidence. It creates identity. And when your identity changes, your habits follow. And when your habits follow, your results explode. But it all begins with the decision to speak a new reality and the discipline to repeat it until it becomes the only reality you accept. Speak it, repeat it, live it. That's the wealth builder's way.